I want to tell you a little bit about the UAx Platform, which is a platform that's been designed and is being co-designed by all of the participants in the schools that I will tell you about. And it's a platform that's designed specifically to help mitigate the brain drain of students, art students needing or wanting to leave the country. It's also being co-designed to support the art schools so that they can stay strong. They are the most important places for cultural production right now in the face of the war. I come from Concordia University in Montreal in Canada, but David and I are teaching at the Estonian Academy of the Arts right now in Tallinn, and we're here at the kind invitation of Anna Eichler. The UAx platform uses the country code UA of Ukraine, and the X we wanted to keep open for exchange, for exile, for ideas of exploration or of excellence. It's an ever-evolving platform, much like an airport code. LAX is a kind of, airports are places where things come and they go. The UAx platform recognizes that Ukrainian art students need to make decisions about their lives and about their work, and that we want to support that mobility, but ultimately it is about trying to create a set of structures so that they feel always at home in Ukraine. There are now 10 schools in this platform from Ukraine. There will be 15 by next year. You'll see in the west there are, one is in the Carpathian region, another is in Lviv. In the south, we have representatives from Odessa and from Kherson. In the east, two schools in Kharkiv, and in Kyiv in the center, 4 schools. So it really is truly a national project, the largest platform ever for art schools in Ukraine. The platform is a testament to the strength and determination of Ukrainian students and their institutions. It's a profound acknowledgement that the arts play a pivotal role in times of struggle and survival. You heard that from Anastasia. It stands as a model to inspire similar initiatives in other conflict zones. So this is also a design that we hope can be replicated elsewhere. There's strife happening all over the world. And the design of the platform truly believes that art schools have to be the anchors for preserving the citizen's sense of self, dignity, and cultural memory. The platform relies on a sister school network, so it also is designed so that we don't just say hello and write a check to Ukraine and then walk away. The idea is that sister schools will create bonds with one another that are much longer lasting, even in the platform's life itself. In this network, there's the Kharkiv State Academy of Design and Arts. There's also the Kharkiv National University of Music and Theater. In Kyiv is the Karpenko-Kari University of Cinema and Television and Theater, and the Lviv National Academy of the Arts, which you saw in the film, and who was our host when David and I were just in Ukraine for those 3 weeks. And Odessa National Academy of Music is the first of the music schools. There are now 3 others who are entering the platform. We just wanted to spotlight for a moment Kharkiv. Some of you may know that it's directly on the border of Russia. It was occupied for some time and then liberated by the Ukrainian military recently, but it is a city still under constant threat, and it's been devastated. It is the one that is over in the east, as you can see on the right side of the slide. This is just our first moment at the school. This was one of the vehicles out in the back near the studios that was heavily damaged by a missile strike. When we turned around, this is the back of the entire school. All of the windows were blown out, so the entire school is now uninhabitable. Most of it is boarded up. Nevertheless, our hosts brought us inside just to give you a sense of what it feels like to be in a building that is completely boarded up. You'll see buckets on the floor. This is because the skylight was exploded, and rain has been coming into this beautiful gallery that has the work of students from many, many decades past. Whoa. Wow, and that's it. Any questions?
We don't have to.
That kind of good. That was the evacuation plan. You see these in every school that you enter into. The new UAx schools are 5 more. There are ones in Kyiv. We now have the National Academy of Visual Arts and Architecture. First time architecture has been involved. Transcarpathian Academy of Arts, that's in the Carpathian Mountains. Kherson, which is also a school in exile. Kherson is completely occupied by the Russians at the moment. The Gliev Academy of Music, also in Kyiv, and then finally the Academy of Circus and Performing Arts. These are schools who've just come in over the past few days. The key thing also to know about helping students to stay in Ukraine is the Abacanovich fellowships go directly to students and offer them mentorship and financial support. The fellowship program supports the students to continue their degree studies and develop their artistic practices through mentorship and emergency bursaries. Some of you might know that about 10 million people have had to leave Ukraine. That's almost a quarter of the population, and many of those people are young people. So it's vital that there's some way for students to stay in school and to stay with their families, even if their schools are closed and they're living elsewhere. And we just wanted to highlight 3 stories for you, just to give you a sense of how things feel on the ground. The first is to introduce you to some of the Kharkiv students who are Abacanovich fellows. And here we are. They cannot come to their school. They haven't been to their school since the beginning of the pandemic. So many of these students have not even met their professors in person for almost 3 years. They came to the school, just these 4 or 5 students, and we all had specific instructions what to do if there were air raid sirens, because there is no bunker in the school. And that's the reason that hundreds and hundreds of students cannot come back. So these students had, as you heard from the film, been really, what I want to say, it's kind of internal refugees. They themselves moved from Kharkiv to Lviv in the western part of the country. And the entire school was, in a sense, taking sanctuary in another art school. But these students had been in Lviv for a year, and they said to us on this day that they needed to come back to Kharkiv because it was their home. And they didn't care if they got hurt or if they were killed. It was more important for them to be back in their home with their families and with their friends and making art, even if they couldn't be doing that in the school. It was a very emotional goodbye when we said goodbye to these students, because they represent just some of the thousands and thousands of students who have made these very difficult decisions. Another story is about the amazing rector at their school in Kharkiv, Alexander Sobolyev. Undaunted, Alexander, even though he has a school that has no students in it, his decision was to turn the entire residence hall of their school, which is now empty of students, into a refugee resettlement center. So now this does have a bunker. So families from all over Ukraine who are forcibly displaced are coming through Kharkiv. They are being cared for by Alexander and many of his students, and they are being able to sleep in the residence halls and to be fed and to be taken care of before they decide where they're going to go next in the country. So what you see here is Alexander rebuilding part of the residence halls into an art therapy clinic for the families who are displaced. And the students in the academy will actually be working with these families. So this is their new classroom. This is their new education, is to work and to support families in need. This was a corridor that normally would be 2 or 3 times as wide. These are all boxes on the left-hand side of international aid that the school has helped to bring in to give directly to the families. To show us how much love and support and respect they show to all of the families, they prepared a meal for us. And this is the kind of meal that they cooked together every day for hundreds and hundreds of people. The hospitality and the kindness was just staggering, and the food was delicious. I want to finish up with another story of the Kovalenko sisters. These are two young women whom David and I met in Tallinn, in Estonia, actually. They, like many of the Ukrainian students, decided that for them at that moment, a year ago, when a year and a half ago, when the war was beginning, that they needed to leave the country for some time. So they came to the Estonian Academy of the Arts. We knew them from class and so forth. We knew that they had gone back to Kyiv. And when we were in Kyiv, we texted them and said, hey, let's meet up again. So Ksenia is on the right, Anna is on the left. They both are a perfect example of young Ukrainians who desperately wanted to go back home. They wanted to give back to their country. They wanted to help defend their country in whatever way they could. But they are undergoing something that many of the returning students are undergoing, and that is first feelings almost, I would say, almost of a kind of guilt that they had left. Then they come back and they want to offer their services, but they don't know how to do that. Anna especially is ready to work on community arts projects, but none of the NGOs even have enough money to support her. It would all be on a volunteer basis. And meanwhile, she has to feed herself and find a way to make a living. Her sister, Ksenia, on the right, could not get her Erasmus credits transferred back to her home university. And so now she's dropped out of her home university as well. So these two vibrant women are back in Ukraine, and they want to be part of that society, and yet they are having a kind of identity crisis themselves. These are just some of the many, many stories that we heard while we were there, the hard choices and decisions that young art students are having to make, the kind of mobility that they are exercising, but the staying power that they're trying to find is in flux. And then we met at least 10 of these schools, some of which are open, some of which are closed, but they have changed dramatically and are continuing to struggle throughout the war. So that's the UAx platform. We're, as I say, co-designing a platform of support for students and for their universities, their art academies. But it's a project in the making, and we would love to talk to you more about it. Talk to you more about the design of this kind of support that may have valency in other parts of the world, and as a social design project intended particularly to stop the brain drain, as it were, out of the country. It's a very important and dynamic situation. So thank you very much, and I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.